Welcome, and thank you for being here. Thank you for investing your time with us. I'm going to be around the stage, sorry, because I have two lights in my face. I will confess probably at the end of the presentation. But look, the objective of this initial session is to really hopefully position how we want to help your organizations to achieve the maximum out of your cloud investments. A little introduction. I'm Freddy Vaquero, and as Tom said, I have the honor to represent the HashiCorp team, being the Global Vice President for Sales and Field Operations. But I'm a long-time IBMer. I had the privilege of leading some of the businesses in IBM, and most recently I was in charge of global sales for security and sustainability software. But this is not about me. This is most probably, in your case, is to really understand what is the value between IBM and HashiCorp and how bringing these propositions together, we're going to support your business objective. And from the personal point of view, I'm extremely excited because I had the opportunity to be close to the IBM vision of hybrid cloud, how we understand hybrid cloud. And now with HashiCorp together, combining our solutions, I'm certain that we can drive transformational value for your organizations, tackling some of the most fundamental challenges you're probably facing today in your day-to-day. So let me start saying that I think the rationale behind, in simple terms, HashiCorp mission of doing cloud right is deeply aligned with IBM. Our mission in IBM is to help customers to harness the two most transformational technologies we have seen in recent history, hybrid cloud and AI. And we bet on hybrid multi-cloud because we believe it offers to your businesses more flexibility, more security, and the ability to innovate and drive digital transformation. When you think on these elements, the only way to extract value out of the technology is to really drive automation as part of the process. At the core of any digital transformation, you have enterprise data. And transforming that data into insights is not optional these days. It's actually the only way you can transform AI investments into business value. And with all the rise and all the explosion of transformation driven by generative AI and the data that is required to fuel it, even more seamless automation becomes a critical element to really drive the gains in productivity you're expecting from those investments. I think Armand made this comment in the morning, but being part, from the product perspective, being part of IBM is allowing HashiCorp to accelerate roadmaps, to accelerate product innovation. Most important, it becomes, for decision makers like you, an alternative to deliver a consistent, automated operating model that can span your entire cloud estates. And that's what we are pursuing. We believe HashiCorp is the control plane of IBM's hybrid cloud vision. A strong statement, but when you think about that, and Armand made this comment early in his presentation, the HashiCorp mission of doing cloud right, it continues to be there. We want to be your partner of doing cloud right. And obviously, make sure that we do that anywhere or any type of clouds you're leveraging in your architecture. Now, together with IBM, we expect to drive much faster impact, supporting your innovation and growth objectives. This is a strong set of data points. We know you are in the deeps of making all these analysis around your tech investments and really what is the outcome you're extracting from those. The the bigger question you're probably asking every day is how I make sure I'm getting the right return on the investment we're doing. Years ago, everybody rushed to the cloud, but only 20% are extracting full value. And the challenge is the definition of cloud as the goal was not necessarily the right one. Cloud is really a transformational tool. And when you think on AI, only 25% of the organizations are extracting the return that you're expecting from that investment. Why? Because you're skipping a significant step in the journey, which is really embracing not only the technology, but positioning the technology with the operating model that is going to extract that value. In other words, your outcome, your results are as strong as your operating value. And that's what we want to support clients with. Now, we understand that every organization is unique, but at the same time, and after supporting over 5,000 clients, adopting, standardizing, or scaling with cloud, we identified these common patterns or challenges. A big majority is still not finding the right pace because of tool fragmentation and lack of automation. That is slowing down your provisioning and, as a consequence, slowing down your capacity to extract productivity. 3/4 of the organizations are reporting the security breach due to misconfiguration, or even simple as bad actors taking control on your valid credentials. As a consequence, that is exposing your brand and impacting your compliance. And finally, when you think on inefficiencies stacked with the lack of standardization, is creating a tremendous waste in the budgets we are investing every day. 35% of waste or lost opportunities when you consider everything you're spending on your cloud projects. So the idea of a single cloud architecture, while tempting, is not going to answer to your business needs, either because you have regulations, or you have projects and needs for geo-expansion, or even competitive pressures. So embracing hybrid cloud as the norm is the real only way to obtain the return on your investments. The good news is that you can transform that cloud complexity into a competitive edge. We have seen that. We are helping some of the companies you represent and many clients around the world to achieve that. Now, it is quite clear that there are some questions coming back to your responsibility or your desk every day. Top of that list is from the perspective of everything you are doing and the organizations around you, your team, asking on, with all this pace of innovation, can we move faster without breaking things, right? Your board is probably asking that every day. Everybody on this room, especially those who are in the highly regulated industries, you're probably asking every day, can we manage the risk, or we're just reacting to it, right? And on the top of this exercise, always with all the investments that you're doing around tooling or services, are we actually impacting the growth of the organization? Are we spending smart, or we are just spending more? And while these are the right questions, you need to always go back and think on the fundamental of those concerns or questions. Why clouds? What is the organization vision for clouds? If you had a magic wand, what would you do with it? And that's what we're trying to define with our clients, with all of you, is really understanding the roadblocks that maybe needs to be removed so you can increase your business velocity, or even how to create the right policies and guardrails with minimum oversight, or how to identify that waste in in resources, that additional cost that you need to eliminate to improve your productivity. We know the potential of cloud is limitless if it's executed with the right operating model. So you heard in the morning with Armand, he mentioned the hybrid cloud operating model, starting with the infrastructure, hybrid infrastructure. You have private, public clouds. You have on-premise data centers and edge environments. The key is to drive the consistency across these environments and then working with your cloud partners to make sure that we're using their expertise to maximize the success. Then we have on top of this layer, which is fundamental to build to the rest of the model, the middleware and data layer. And what we're trying to achieve here is ensuring that we have consistency across workflows, that those workflows are executed consistent across all components, and data sharing to support your application, your business applications. Think about this like connective tissue. You have all the components working together. You have runtimes. We have workflows and systems. And you need to deliver the right level of communication to provide visibility and controls so you can manage those environments and therefore identify where you have risk, where you have bottlenecks that will impact your operation. And finally, on top of the model, you have the hybrid automation and insights layer. This is where the application value change comes to life, right? Automation on this layer needs to be tightly integrated to observability and governance. And that's where we now put the things together between HashiCorp and IBM. The insights on this layer are not just feeding your dashboards. They're actually driving action between ALM, ILM, and SLM. For example, an observability tool that is identified a risk or inefficiency, and then your automation platform is automatically triggering the workflow update, changing a configuration, managing secrets, changing policies, or even rolling back deployments. And then you have FinOps, which is playing I will say that discrete but an interconnected role with the rest, is collecting all the information and usage data across your hybrid environments, and then providing visibility and ways to optimize that expense, and even defining and controlling the positioning the budgeting guardrails, limitations, so you don't deploy it unless you have budget to support those environments. And then when you think on the value of these elements together, you can really build towards one goal, which is building a consistent operating model that is going to connect automation to action. Think about this of your capacity to take decisions faster and smarter decisions without the need to make any manual intervention, hopefully, accelerating the application deployments, strengthening the security posture, or even optimizing your operational efficiency. This is where HashiCorp is critical, especially with when connected with the IBM portfolio. The HashiCorp infrastructure cloud is a unified control plane that is putting together all these layers and is helping you to drive from automation to observability down to a secure, policy-driven infrastructure. By embedding the life cycle management in every part of the stack, you can actually not only define an operating model, you can execute on that operating model. And that's what we are working, that's what we have been working for the last 12, 13 years with organizations like yours, and that we are trying to elevate with IBM, is to bring that complexity together and help you with those external services and multiple clouds to really extract the value from your investments. Of course, probably better to have somebody with experience on this journey to take you through not only his experience from the customer side, but also from the business perspective. So I would like to invite Stephen to join us. Stephen is one of our field CTOs in EMEA, and I'm pretty sure you will enjoy it, not only understanding his background and what the work he's doing every day with clients on defining the cloud operating model. Stephen?
Thanks, Freddy. Thank you. All right. It's a pleasure to be here. Actually, last year I was here around as a customer in Munich on Hashi Days, and recently decided myself to make a little career adjustment and join the fantastic company of HashiCorp, and now even as part of IBM, that makes it much more interesting for me. So basically, I'm here now to share a little bit about how you can do cloud write and how that specifically can be accelerated with the recent acquisition of HashiCorp and IBM. So really glad to share a little bit about that.
All right, so you ask, can you hear me? So will you ask your customers to share their vision so we can help them with the operating model? So let's take the clients through that journey.
Yeah, all right, good. I'm happy to share something about that. So Freddy mentioned it already, and you heard it in the morning from Amon. Basically, our theme of doing cloud write doesn't change. It is a slight adjustment because we think like hybrid has been around forever already. I mean, everybody from you is probably already advanced in kind of doing cloud in some way, but you probably still have kind of edge or data centers. So kind of we just see this as a little adjustment in the sense of we help you do hybrid cloud write. So, and even with IBM in the back, we can accelerate on those things even faster now. Right, so one of the things to succeed in a hybrid cloud environment is that you not only look into technology, but you have to look into your people and into your processes, right? So we have worked, I don't know, a very long time with customers, and there's like two critical things, I would say, that are essential to get it right. And basically the first thing is that you need to standardize on your workflows. And you can take an example. So like if you have around 500 teams and every of those teams are doing it a slight different way, I would say that this is never going to become really effective, right? So, and second, on the right-hand side, it is about unifying the platform. So you really want a centralized platform that helps you with provisioning, that helps you with securing your infrastructures. An example here is kind of think about your estate. So eventually you're having multiple clouds, maybe you have on-premise data centers, and what you really don't want to do is like for each and every of those platforms to figure out how do you manage it, right? So our approach is rather to say you basically use the HashiCorp tooling as a centralized layer, and from that you basically manage all of your infrastructure estates that you have. So with everything that we do, basically, we're here to help you accelerate and bring you really the return on invest. Well, Freddy mentioned that is something that we tend to not see yet, right? So next is I want to take you through a little bit the whole value chain of your application. So really interesting here, if we take a look in more detail, is how does that work together? So right. Usually things start on the left-hand side with the application lifecycle management by people, eventually developers, committing code, right? So they will just commit some code, make some changes to the application, and then maybe those changes, they get picked up by a CI/CD pipeline. Eventually tests are executed, right? And so the natural next thing that usually happens is it needs to be deployed somewhere. So the developer needs an infrastructure to run this change, to run this application on. And this is kind of where the infrastructure lifecycle comes in to basically help to spin up those environments in an automatic fashion. And to also basically make sure that the infrastructure stays compliant, right? To use things like policies to ensure that that infrastructure that gets deployed is according to your enterprise guidelines. And then third, if we talk about the security side of things, which we call the security lifecycle, that is kind of now the developer has his application running somewhere, and then next is eventually he needs access to a database, right? Because he needs to persist data somewhere. And so how does he get those credentials for that database access? So if you think about managing those credentials and all those secrets in a central way, this is kind of where our SLM really kicks in to solve this. And this is really to minimize risk and enforce a zero trust strategy. So, and then last but not least, on the right-hand side, this is kind of about monitoring and essentially also a thing that we call the financial operations FinOps. So everybody who's familiar with DevOps probably has heard about this. So it's really about, you have to observe your application, you have to ensure that it's basically running. So it's not only kind of a day zero thing, as Amon said, but it's really about the whole operation lifecycle through day N until eventually an infrastructure is decommissioned. And then also from the FinOps perspective, it's like, I mean, basically, who hasn't have had that, at least I have had that at Lufthansa, is like, oh yeah, we didn't expect that cloud bill to be that big. So because like you just rush into cloud, but you haven't really, figured out how to optimize on things. So it's really about making the aspect of financial operations part of your operational processes to make sure that you throw away infrastructure that you don't need anymore, right? Or to just hand out temporary environments to your developers, which are auto-destructing after a day or something like that, right? So this is really kind of where the HashiCorp tooling comes in. So I want to really make sure that you understand that it's really important to have a unified automation platform in your environments. So by really following the do cloud right approach that we have here, that's exactly what basically I did back at Lufthansa to implement this, is basically what we achieved is over, I think the journey was like 6 years, so it was quite long, and it's like one learning. You're not migrating to cloud in like a year or something, so it's a multi-year journey. And by following the approaches, basically we were able to manage first a single cloud. So we initially moved to Azure as our primary cloud, and then after a time we realized, okay, there are cloud outages, you can have global outages on single clouds, so we have to improve our high availability, right? So naturally a second cloud came in, that was back in time, I think Google Cloud. And then there was a recent merger for everyone who's familiar with aviation. There was an Italian airline joining the Lufthansa group, and they were on another cloud, right? So, and by us initially already going to the HashiCorp stack and approach, this wasn't really a big challenge for us because we already had, let's say, tooling that is neutral, a process and a setup of our teams, which are really, really like cloud independent, I would say. So we could easily add in new platforms and serve our customers with that approach. Okay. So I guess everybody is really familiar with kind of adopting cloud here. So I'm not talking to you how to do really, migrate to cloud, right? But really important is to do this in a consistent and automated way. Yeah. So this is the only way how you can serve reliably your business. So if you're, for example, managing infrastructure changes, or you're protecting credentials, you're inspecting logs, or eventually maybe you destroy infrastructure, this is kind of what you're probably doing on a day-to-day business. So this is like where our ILM basically kicks in and helps you. Also, kind of if you look at deploying processes or workflows and orchestrate all of those things, this is on the LLM hand side how we can help you. I think a big thing that we also implemented is something that people call like an internal developer platform. So really the idea of self-serving services inside the organization is a thing that really helped us to lower basically our personnel and also make things more effective, because you basically don't need to create a ticket to get something. So, but everybody knows like, hey, you go to the developer portal, and this is the way how you get like a managed database or something like this, right? So this is like, if you look at the left side of things, how HashiCorp sees the world. On the right side of things, if we talk about the security view, which we call the security lifecycle, this is really about automating the security state of your estate. So what I guess everybody sees is that cyber threats, they are present like every day. So you can't be really sure if you've already been like, attacked. So you really have to assume breaches is there at any time, right? And you cannot afford by just ignoring this or doing this in a manual way. So if you think about automation on the security side of things, there could be things like, how do you cycle certificates on your whole environment? I'm pretty sure that everybody has this challenge of, yeah, certificates expire. Eventually, somebody shortens the time to live. So you have to cycle eventually a large estate of 50,000 servers. And now if you think about how our tooling can come in, that there's like a single button click to say, OK, I want to rotate 50,000 certificates. And now automation goes there and just cycles it through without any manual intervention. I think this is a really huge thing. So, and the good thing about this is like when the ILM and the SLM comes together, then you really get rid of inefficiencies. You really, can provision things and automate on things on the infrastructure and the secure side. And for you, this is basically, the benefit that your developers, they're actually free. And what's the task for developers? Usually, right? That's to develop software. So they should not be there and go to the Azure portal and deploy things manually. So really focus on where they can bring most value. Good. In the morning, you have heard already about our fantastic customers, BT Group. And I really like the story that Christian told. I was actually chatting the other day with two other folks. I think you should be around here, like Tom and Mark from BT. So I found this case to, not sure if the clicker is not working, but here we go. Basically, the story that BT Group is like something I guess many of you might experience is you have to eventually move to cloud. Maybe there's a change of strategy. And they did that. They moved out 2 years ago from the data centers. They moved workloads into AWS. And they were using our tools like Nomad to schedule, workloads because maybe not everything runs well in containers. So then they use tools like Consul to bridge the environments from on-premise with, what you are running in the cloud. So it actually spans a large network across this. And then also they use tools like Vault to manage all the secrets management and PKI and certificates. So if you look at from where does it bring value? It's really that, they could reduce their deployment times into just like 10 minutes. And also 90% of all their automation was implemented. So people, can do other things. Also, they have been one of our first people and customers to really dive into the privileged access management, which is our tool called Boundary. And I really like to see that there's a tight integration between of our toolings like Vault and Boundary to say, okay, you can automatically provision credentials for a certain backend service, and then Boundary helps you to basically get there. And really this reduces the risk of credential theft, which basically they have implemented. So kind of a developer or a user of this, they never really see the credentials, right? Because it comes out of the box from Vault. Also, when you basically introduce tools like PAMs, then you automatically come to closer to your zero trust strategy, which is kind of what you essentially want to get. On the optimization side of things, this is really, I think Freddy said it in the beginning, like only 20% ROI is usually what companies have seen. I would say at Lufthansa we've seen a little bit more than that. What I found really fascinating that the folks out at BT, they have been able to reduce the infrastructure cost by like 80% by using our tools and of course using the AWS tools. And they were able to streamline their operations and automate everything and reduce manual intervention, which they have been doing before. So this really ensures that there's an uninterrupted service. And basically, by that, they have been able to migrate their workloads over to AWS. So I'm really glad that we have such fantastic customers. And I think they're in the audience. So go talk to them, go ask them how it was for them. So thank you very much. And for now, I'm going to invite Freddy up here again.
All right. So I heard reduction in minutes. I heard possibility to reduce 90%. That is 10 times reduction. 80% in cost is amazing. I think that is a good example of how cloud is done right. And that is what we really want to do with your organizations. Thank you for taking the time, for your trust and your partnership. Hopefully, we're going to be able, through the date, to go and take you through this journey of identifying the areas of opportunity. We're going to be around, so thank you for participating with us today. With that, let me turn it back to Tom to take you through the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.